Imagine this. It's midnight. You're not in your comfortable bed, but in an underground command center where you can't even feel the temperature. The air is thick with the low hum of servers and the bitter smell of instant coffee. Before you, a bank of enormous screens glows with a cold, blue light. The data and real-time images flickering across them are the very heartbeat of this nation. You're not watching a movie. No. You are the director now. And tonight, the ending of this scene must be written by you. At the center of the screen is an infrared image from a drone. 20,000 feet up. It's a 5-story apartment building. Looking perfectly ordinary. Under the night vision lens, it looks like a warm, grayish-white building block. Your intelligence department has just sent a message you've been waiting 3 months for. The target, the engineer, is on the 3rd floor of this building. The codename sounds mundane, but a chill instantly runs down your spine. Because you know that the explosion in the city square last month, the one that killed 128 civilians, was the work of this engineer. And what's kept you awake at night is his next planned attack. Codenamed the Winter Rite. According to your most reliable intelligence, if he succeeds, the number of casualties will be 10 times that of the last one. Right now, he's on your screen, a human-shaped silhouette radiating heat. Your window to attack is only 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And he will disappear into the vast sea of humanity. The next time you find him, it might be in the middle of another field of ruins he's created. Next to your finger is the attack authorization button. Press it, and a precision missile will instantly turn the 3rd floor into hell. The engineer and his plans will be vaporized together. Sounds like a simple choice, doesn't it? One monster, one button, one final solution. But your eyes can't leave the screen, because an infrared lens does not lie. Besides the abnormally bright heat signature on the 3rd floor, you can clearly see several dimmer, but equally distinct, heat signatures on the 4th and 5th floors. The voice of an intelligence analyst crackles in your earpiece. Calm, yet sharp as a needle. Commander. Confirmed. 4th and 5th floors. At least 3 civilian families. Children included. They are renters. No connection to the target. If we engage, their probability of survival is 0. 10 minutes. In your ear cup, you hear the analyst's countdown on one side, 9 minutes remaining. On the other, you can almost hear the soft breathing of the children sleeping in those apartments. You press the button, and those innocent families die instantly. You become an executioner. But you might save 1,000 other innocent lives in the future. You pull your finger back, and those families will wake to tomorrow's sunrise. You keep your conscience clean. But one day in the future, when the fire from the Winter Rite explosion paints the night sky red, the blood of those 1,000 lost souls will be on your hands. 2. This is a one-way ticket to hell. The only difference is which path you choose to walk down. Time keeps ticking away. Second by second. The countdown on the screen turns red. Your palms are slick with sweat. Everyone's eyes are on you, waiting for your decision. So, my friend, tell me, would you press the button? I know. To be suddenly thrown into a moral inferno like this on an ordinary night must feel awful. This question is too heavy. It's suffocating. Before the story continues, before we untie this impossible knot together, if you feel that this conversation we're having, this exploration into the deepest parts of our humanity, is valuable, and since my work does take a great deal of effort, then please, take 1 second to light up that little like button, and click subscribe. It really means a lot to me. Your support is like the only fuel in this late-night tavern that keeps me sober. Alright. Thank you. Now, take a deep breath. Let's return to that suffocating command center. Because the truly interesting part is just beginning. So, what should you do? Press the button. Or pull your finger back. I'm guessing you've run through it 100 times in your head. And every choice makes you feel sick to your stomach. Do you want to know what the correct answer is? Here's a secret, there is no correct answer to this question. The question itself is a trap. This thought experiment, or this real-life tragedy, was never designed for you to find a heroic solution. Its only purpose is to make you feel, with total clarity, the unending civil war raging deep inside of you. Why does this choice cause such intense anguish? Because it's not a test of how smart you are, or how good you are. It is forcing the two oldest, most fundamental codes of conduct in our human nature into a fight to the death. To help you see this more clearly, we need to leave that command center for a moment and dive into a deeper, more mysterious place, the moral DNA inside every one of us. You can imagine our sense of right and wrong, our intuition for good and evil, as a double helix engraved in our souls. It's not knowledge you learn. It's not software you can easily modify. No. It's hardware. It's the factory setting that our ancestors, struggling for millions of years on the brink of survival and extinction, pre-installed for you and me. This DNA helix is woven from two ancient codes. The first code, we can call the healer's code. The command of this code is simple, absolute, and full of emotion. It is only one sentence: thou shalt not cause harm with thine own hands. Just those few words. This is the source code that makes us warm, feeling human beings. When you see a child scrape their knee, you feel a pang in your heart. When you see a stranger fall on the street, you instinctively want to help them up. Behind all of this, the healer's code is at work. It governs our empathy, our compassion. Its range is very close. It only cares about the living, breathing person right in front of you. It despises direct, active harm. Remember the classic version of the trolley problem. The one where you have to personally push a large man off a bridge to stop the train. The vast majority of people can't do it. Right. The thing that grips your hand, screaming no, in your ear, is your inner healer. But don't forget, DNA is a double helix. On the other side, a completely different, even opposite, code is entwined. We can call it the guardian's code. If the healer cares about the individual in front of us, then the guardian cares about the collective in the distance. Its command is equally simple, but it is cold, abstract, and focused only on the future. The tribe must be preserved. This is the code of the tribal chief, of the general, of anyone who bears the fate of a group. It's a way of thinking forged in steel. It doesn't care about the joys or sorrows of any single individual. It only cares about the probability of the entire tribe's survival. To prevent the whole tribe from starving in winter, it permits the sacrifice of the few sick animals in the herd. To prevent the nation from being overthrown by its enemies, it permits sending the youngest, finest soldiers to the battlefield to face death. The Guardian's Code governs our sense of responsibility, our sense of crisis. It has no warmth, only calculation. Both of these codes are equally important. Both exist to ensure our species survives. But these two survival strategies point in completely different directions. Let me give you an example, and you'll get it instantly. In a family, the healer's code is like the mother. She will instinctively and unconditionally protect every child. Her greatest wish is that her children never suffer the slightest harm, that they are always happy and safe. And the guardian's code is like a stern, thoughtful father. He loves the family just as deeply, but what he thinks about is how the family, as a whole, can survive and thrive. So he will make decisions that cause his children pain in the present. He'll force you to go to a tutoring class you hate, because it's good for your future. He'll sell your favorite toy when money is tight, to put food on the table for the whole family. His decisions are often accompanied by sacrifice and pain, but his focus is on the future of the entire family. Do you understand now? The dilemma in that command center is a moral perfect storm precisely because it forces our innermost mother and father into a corner where they must choose. The maternal healer is crying in your ear, you can't kill those children. They're innocent. And the paternal guardian is growling behind you, you must protect your people. Sacrifice is necessary. All right. Now that we have this mental map to dissect our own humanity, it's time to take our inner healer and guardian and return to that cold command center, to see which voice the decision-maker ultimately listens to. He pressed the button. The missile launched seconds later and struck the target with precision. On the screen, the third floor of that building instantly bloomed into a blindingly bright, white heat source. Then, it slowly faded, becoming as dim as the other floors, with no signs of life to be seen. Mission complete. I know. A part of you just sank. You might be thinking, how could he? How could he give the order to kill those innocent families with his own hands? Is he a monster? A demon. From the perspective of our inner healer. Yes. What he did violated that ancient code, thou shalt not cause harm with thine own hands. There is no doubt about that. But if you switch channels and listen to the voice of his inner guardian, you'll hear a completely different story. For the guardian, this isn't about good or evil. Or about emotion. This is just math. You see. For an ordinary person, a good person, their moral compass is the healer's code. Our lives are made up of countless small acts of kindness. Of do no harm. But in that command center, in that decision-maker's chair, his identity is no longer that of an ordinary person. His duty, his mission, is to become the guardian for his entire tribe. And the guardian's math is cold and cruel. In his calculation, this isn't a multiple-choice question of to kill or not to kill. It's a fill-in-the-blank question of choose how the deaths occur. Option A, press the button. He personally and actively causes the certain death of a few. This act is tangible, and it requires him to bear the moral responsibility. Option B, pull back his finger. He avoids killing with his own hands. His conscience can rest easy tonight. But his inaction will lead to the uncertain death of many at some point in the future. Those deaths are intangible, spread out, but their probability is extremely high. The Guardian's code tells him, Commander, your job isn't to make yourself feel like a good person. Your job is to choose the option that results in the smallest loss for your tribe as a whole. No matter how heavy a cross that option forces your own soul to bear. So, he pressed the button. He used a tactical tragedy to prevent a strategic catastrophe. He fulfilled the duty of the Guardian. Now, does this sound a bit familiar? Of course it does. Because for the past few years, we have been watching a version of this script, magnified 10,000 times, playing out across the globe every day on the news. Whether it's the conflict in Gaza or the war in Ukraine. If you look closely, you'll find that their core is a public duel between these two codes within us. What do we, as ordinary people, see on our phone screens? We see bombed-out homes, displaced children, the specific, broken, heart-wrenching tragedies of individuals. Our inner healer is instantly activated. We get angry. We sympathize. We cry out, stop. Don't cause any more harm. This is the most precious and genuine reaction of our humanity. But the decision-makers in those conflicts, the presidents, the prime ministers, the generals, what are they looking at? They're looking at maps, at intelligence, at resource attrition reports, at future national security risk assessments. They claim they are fulfilling their duty as guardians, to protect their own people, their tribe, from what they see as a more distant but more lethal threat. They claim that the tragedies of today are the unavoidable, regrettable costs on the path to a future peace. Do you see the disconnect here? We, as observers, are using the close-range, personal moral lens of the healer. And they, as insiders, are using the long-range, collective strategic lens of the guardian. We see the trees. They see the forest. This isn't to defend the actions of any side. It is to point out a brutal fact. We and they are very likely using two completely different moral languages to describe the same tragedy. And this is the root of all the arguments, all the division, all the misunderstanding of our time. We are all expressing what we believe is the absolute truth, forgetting that from the very beginning, we may have been standing on different strands of our moral DNA. Okay, the story in the tavern is coming to an end. We started in a fictional command center, traveled through the double helix of human nature, and circled around this real and cruel world. Now, it's time to head back. It's time to bring everything we've learned on this journey back to the only place we have any control over, our own lives. So, you see, inside every one of us lives an emotional healer and a rational guardian. One focuses on the pain of the individual in front of us. The other calculates the fate of the collective in the future. At this point, you might say, okay, I get it. Generals and presidents. They're playing a cruel guardian's game. But what does that have to do with me? I'm not launching any missiles. I'm just a regular person trying to get through the week. That's a good question. Because this is precisely where this story becomes most valuable for each of us. You think the trolley problem only exists on battlefields and in philosophy classrooms. No, my friend. It happens in your living room. It happens in your office. It happens in every argument you have with your partner. Every day. We face simplified versions of the trolley problem. Every day. We are being pulled in two directions by our inner healer and guardian. Let me give you an example. You come home after a long day. Your child is crying because they don't want to do their homework. Your inner healer is immediately activated. That mother's voice says in your heart, "He's so miserable. He's tired too. Just let him play." Being happy is the most important thing. This choice will immediately give you a happy child and a peaceful evening. It's an instant, direct emotional reward. But your inner guardian, that stern father's voice, warns you, if you give in tonight, you break the rules. In the future, he'll use the same method to avoid everything he doesn't like but has to do. For his sake 10 years from now. You must be firm tonight. This choice will mean facing a crying child and a tense evening. But its focus is on the long-term outcome. See, that's a trolley problem. Sacrificing tonight's peace, the one person on the side track, to build your child's good habits for the future, the 5 people on the main track. Here's another one. Your partner, in a fit of anger, says something incredibly hurtful. Your healer is instantly wounded. It screams, "Fight back. Hurt them back with something even worse. You can't let this go." Its goal is to soothe your immediate pain. But your guardian will hold you back. It will calmly calculate, okay, yelling back at them right now would feel great. But what's the cost? A mutually destructive war. 3 days of an even more depressing Cold War. It might even shake the foundation of our relationship. The long-term return on this battle is negative. Where do most of the regrets in our lives come from? They come from letting our emotional healer take the wheel at the very moment we should have let our guardian calculate the long-term consequences. This mental model, distilled from a brutal war story, isn't meant to make us cold and heartless. Quite the opposite. It's meant to make us clearer and wiser. It gives us a map to see the landscape of our own minds. The next time you find yourself caught in a moment of anger, anxiety, jealousy, or avoidance, you can try this. First, hit the pause button. Then ask yourself, wait a minute. Who's in control right now? Is it the healer, who only cares about how I feel right now? Or is it the guardian, who's focused on the long-term future? Just by asking this question, you build a bridge between the flood of emotion and the high ground of reason. It transforms you from a reactor, dragged along by instinct, into a chooser who can assess the situation and decide. True maturity isn't about eliminating your inner healer. We need its empathy, its kindness, and its love to maintain our relationships with those around us. True maturity is when, in addition to the healer's instincts, we have successfully awakened our inner guardian. We can't change the complexity of the world or those distant conflicts. But we can change ourselves. We can choose not to be held hostage by our primitive, black and white moral intuitions. But instead, strive to become a clear-eyed person who can understand the gray areas and weigh the long-term trade-offs. Sometimes, the kindest, most responsible choice in the long run is precisely the one that feels the most difficult and uncomfortable in the moment. Understanding that point is the most valuable trophy we take with us from that command center tonight. All right, my friend. That's all the wine for tonight. Stay curious. Never stop thinking. And then, go win the wars in your life that truly matter. From the Shadow Mythos Mind Tavern. Until next time. Good night.